Yowza. Jeff Africa, Jeff Africa's Last Dance. The channel, we're making it from here to the heart. We're going to enliven and bring alive this heart chakra. Another thing I do when I was doing that routine in the morning I told you about before I meditate, you know, on hands on the chest, that whole thing, very powerful, very, very nice, very impressive. I also am talking to my inner wall, or the wall around my heart. And asking it to dissolve, okay? Talking to it friendly, like it's a friend. It's there because it thinks it's helping you. It thinks it's protecting you, okay? But I'm talking to it and getting it to dissolve. I don't want a wall around my heart anymore. We put a wall around our heart as we move on in life to protect ourselves from the hurts that we experience and have experienced when we were younger and more vulnerable. We develop a wall around our heart, and that has to go. You know, obviously, if we're going to maintain an open heart and live that heart center with love and benevolence and empathy and tenderheartedness, see, we have to dissolve that wall. So we're working on that too. We're adding that to that that routine I did. I've showed you what I did, and very, very nice. I'm in bed before I get up, hands on chest, think of everything I can think of to thank for the day. You know, I thank for all the friends I have. I thank the people I interact with. I thank for the friends I'm developing on YouTube. That whole thing. I think for about 5 minutes. I think of all the things I am thankful for. Thankful for my development over the last 10 years. Thankful for my body, my beautiful body that I appreciate and love so much. Those types of things. And being thankful is a very powerful thing to get your vibration going upward, and a great way to start the day. That thankful exercise, as well as that thing that I do before I meditate. I mean, you're talking some strong stuff. And I'm very, very happy with all those things I'm doing. And take note. Just take note and develop your own way of expressing that sort of thing. See, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, but develop your own methods and ways as you are going to want to take up the mantle of getting to the heart also, okay? You're going to want to do it at some point, okay? All right, then trust me, there's no way out, really. The only way out is to the heart and living that heart way. We've been talking in terms of enlightenment and liberation. We'll talk about those later, but this is the first step toward maybe the essence of liberation is that heart-body reality, out of your head into the heart and body, and apprehend of each moment in a non-intellectual way, non-mind-oriented, ego-driven, sitting in the egoic mind state way. You see? All right, there you go. Okay, we got a couple things to brush up here in our reviews, and that's it. We're moving on. Okay, good. We're going to hit pure intellectualism, ideology, and belief system. Ideologies and belief systems. Okay, we'll brush really quickly. Our school system takes a stupid individual, or a guy that isn't very smart, or a guy that's not vibrating very quickly, like we all aren't. We all aren't. We're all sleepy. We're all sleepwalking. They take a sleepwalker. That's a good way of putting it. They take a sleepwalker, and they start hitting them with a bunch of ideologies and belief systems, okay? Now, that sleepwalker isn't going to be awakened by ideologies and belief systems, okay? They're still going to be, after you've given him what you think he should be brainwashed with, which is what it is, then he's still going to be a low vibrational sleepwalker. Okay, it would seem to me if a proper educational system would be to take that sleepwalker and learn how, give him the tools to wake up out of that sleepwalking. Okay, that's what true education should be focused on. And when we just indoctrinate them, they still remain a sleepwalker, and that's not, you know, benefit to humanity, but that's what our educational system is doing, okay? And then that they become even stupider in a way, because then they only see what that new belief system they've been taught, they only see through the eyes of that belief system, and anything that doesn't fit that model now that they've been brainwashed with. They don't see any longer. They refuse to see. I've seen some congresswomen who are basically been indoctrinated into certain ideologies. Anything that happens in this world that doesn't fit and conform to that ideology, they deny that it's going on. Oh, that's not going on. How that's what ideologies and belief systems do to you. You become identified with them, okay, and then you no longer see anything that's outside of that ideology. You got that? The yogis are amused at what we call in the West education. Okay, it's educating the mind, just the mind, that's all. And there's so much more to getting a full-blooded, alive, awake human being than teaching them ideologies, okay, and belief systems, all right? We should be teaching them ideas of inner growth, inner work, how to increase your vibration, the illusion that the ego separatist self really is, the concept of ever-increasing alertness and awareness we've discussed. All these things are much more important than our current ideologies that we're brainwashing our kids with. And imagine if we get those things started early on, right away. You look at look how our educational system. What has it really done? Are things really better now in America than they used to be? Yes, but it's not because of our educational system. This is general rise in vibration that humanity is feeling right now because of the energies flowing in, but it has very little to do with these ideologies and belief systems that we've puffed up our kids with. And generally speaking, it's in spite. The progress mankind has made is a 50-50 proposition, because some of it's not not very progressive at all. It is due to other things other than our universally the way we introduce intellectualism, ideologies into our kids. Okay, it's not helping. They come out worse for it. Look, what we need is love. Okay, what this world needs is a greater experience of love. Love one another, respect one another, allow one another, accept one another, don't resist one another, forgive one another. Those are the things that the world needs right now. And all these intellectual ideas have been taking us in the wrong direction. They're separating us, having us fight and bicker and be separate, and you over there, us over here, and so on and so forth, when we all need to join hands and move forward. You got that? All these ideologies they're teaching right now are going to go up in a puff of smoke when we get to the fifth dimension. Okay, we're going to have to scrap them all and start all over again. And it's not going to be ideology based. It's going to be all those things I've just described. It's going to be how to get to different levels of higher consciousness. That's what it's going to be about. It's not going to be based on ideology. It's absolutely ridiculous. Remember, yogis of India, they're the most intelligent, comprehensively intelligent, advanced people I have ever experienced. They have a great system over there. It's their own system. We'll never match that. It's not our way of doing things, really. But they are the most comprehensively educated, intelligent, if you want to use that word, developed people that I've come across. And when I read them, I feel as though these are the people I want to emulate. Paramahansa Yogananda, this is the person I want to be friends with. This is the person that has something I want. Okay, and it all is a movement toward God and spirituality. Okay, and then in the mind, the intellectualism part comes in explaining that type of movement, but it is not just a lower vibrational sleepwalker coming up with the intellectual ideas, thinking he's getting somewhere. No, getting somewhere is following what the yogis are advising us to do, which is a movement towards spirituality and God. Got it? Imperial intellectualism seems to breed a movement away from God, essentially. Okay, They become enamored with their intellectualism, and they think they are God, really, more or less. Their intellectual are movements. They get intertwined with them. They get identified with them. They get their superiority and their prestige and their status from their intellectualism. And it creates a certain darkness, egoic darkness around intellectualism. I explained to you that in some very balls out spiritual texts I've read, they speak of the darkness of pure intellectualism, okay, that has a sort of a darkness about it. And that's why, okay, because they get egoically entwined in it, and it becomes a self-limiting process in that sense. They become limited in their spheres and in their development by their intellectualism. You got that? Because they begin to identify with it. So when they say the darkness of intellectualism, look at all the intellectual movements in our universities these days are having us go the opposite direction that the universal cosmic creator flow wants us to go in, okay? And that has to be turned around, okay? That's what they mean when they say darkness of intellectualism. The pure intellectualism of our universities are taking us in the wrong direction, okay? We need to turn that around, and that's what they mean when they say pure intellectualism got run amok, sort of, okay? Right now, it's taking us in the wrong direction. That the universal wants us to all flow toward love right now. That's the movement there. But intellectualism is turning us into a bickering mess. You know what I mean? And that's when they say darkness of intellectualism, that's what they mean. The mistake that's happening right now, right before our very eyes. You got that? We need to be teaching our kids reasoning and thinking for themselves and intuitive guidance. All these things we start needing to teaching our kids. That's what's going to breed a better person, a better citizen. A better interpersonal relationship type person who's going to understand those things better. All right, and in the future, that's what's going to be done. It's not being done now, okay, but it will be done in the future. It's really a mess, our educational system. We have to start building a new educational system. We're not going to get anything done with the things that are going on now. Very interesting point was made about revolutions. You know, when we talk about revolutions, we don't have to talk about a violent overthrow. A revolution is just walking away from what we've built as a society and build something new. See? That's what we have to do. The old world, the old mentalities, the older folks have developed institutions that are no longer working. We don't have to overthrow them. We just have to walk away, abandon them, and create something new. And all move toward that. See, we don't have to have a revolution in that sense of the word anymore. Wasn't that a great thing that I had come across? It truly is. Intellectualism was never meant to take the lead. Really wasn't meant to be a follow-up. Okay, intellectualism, like I say, of all the reasons I've just mentioned, is running rampant, and it was never meant to do that. But that's the Western mind-oriented way, and we've allowed it to be too prominent. Okay, it's just simply too prominent. And there are much more potent things to do to benefit mankind than ideologies, belief systems, that whole thing. No God, no wisdom. Okay, where is God in this country? In America, we're talking about America now. Where's God really? I mean, God is a misunderstanding in most of our religions. There are some decent representations of God. But really, where is God? God almost has a negative connotation. No one really speaks of God. No one is living the idea of living a God-centered life. No one really understands that. It's almost a dirty word or a negative connotation, the idea of God, coming from all the mischief people that are supposed to be representative of God, what they've done over the last centuries, so we don't really have a functioning idea of God in this country, and a way to move forward hands in hand, not only with each other, but with God also. And wisdom. Where is wisdom in this country. Where does wisdom exist in the country? It's not in our schools. It's not in our religions. It's not in our politics. It's not in our corporation. Definitely not in our corporations, but not in our state structures. There almost is no wisdom, true wisdom. The wisdom that's coming from what I hear when I speak, when I listen to the yogis speak of wisdom. There is none of that, or even the galactics. That are all the messaging coming through on Awakening You or some of those other channels. There is no wisdom in this country right now. We're stymied as we want to move out of our mental state that we've developed right till now. And we don't know how to step into the wisdom. Which has to guide us and has to guide intellectualism too, which isn't there. Complex ideologies, yogis say complex, intricate ideologies are unneeded and unnecessary, okay? That's what they're saying, okay? And I know exactly what they mean when they say that. We get carried away with that sort of stuff, and it doesn't really mean anything, or means very little in the long run. Take the theory of evolution. Okay, fine. In a way, now we understood that evolution is an aspect of creation. Things evolve in accordance to what nature needs of them, or what nature throws at them. They evolve to overcome some of the hurdles that nature is placed in their way. That's one aspect of creation. Okay, theory of evolution. But we've taken it to mean that there is no God, that this whole thing, evolution, was just a mistake of electricity and matter and cells, and they came out of this cosmic goo, and now we're walking around, with all these beautiful things on earth. I've told you before, all the spices, all the fruits, the wide variety of everything here on earth. And that's how it all developed, okay, by accidents, mistakes, and we're in a cold, dead universe. And that's that is such an asinine theory. It is breathtaking in its asininity, and it's all based on lack of awareness. I told you about when I didn't believe in God till I was into my early 30s, and I was cutting up fruit, and I realized right then and there that this wasn't all created by accident. Okay, it was created by a divine intelligence, and it was universal loving God that created this earth and everything on it. And we've taken theory of evolution to mean that that's what did it. You know what I mean? So the theory of evolution, okay, the guy, he noticed something was going on, he had a theory about it, fine. But then we were so silly, we've taken it as if that is what was the basis of everything we see, including us walking around talking to one another. And apparently when we die, we just die, and that's it, that we had our one life, and now we're dead, and now we're gone. Like shit, man. Birth of science and reason. Okay, really, the birth in the 1600s of the birth of science and reason, which is away from basically the religion, heavy-duty dominance of religions, which had a defunct idea of God. And an idea, it was a repressive system, really. It was, it's either a misunderstanding or a power organization representing God, and you had to come to them to get their defunct idea of God, which they really don't and didn't understand. So birth of science and reason, fine, good. But it has led us to where we are today, which has benefits. Science, I'm not saying, science is a potent thing and has got us a lot of things, let's face it. And reason, too. But now we have sort of a godless situation. It has moved us away from the idea of spirituality and God-centeredness, okay? So all these types of things that, takes a kernel of something that is good, but the overall thrust becomes a detriment, okay? It becomes a superstition. The idea that, like I say, the idea that this whole happened just by evolution alone is a superstition. A lot of things that are coming up in science and reason become superstitions when they don't include the ultimate truth, which a God-created, God-loving world was created with God overseeing the whole process. And one of our most noble things we can do is to get in touch with that God and begin begin to understand him and begin to love him and her. Okay, I was going through a therapeutic process in LA, early 30s, and when I found out that there was a God, I brought it to the analyst I was seeing. I was going, look at, if I am living a messed up, screwed up, a hellhole of a life that I wish I would, and when I would hear of somebody dying, I'm going, that lucky bastard, he's dead, he's out of here. What a lucky, glorious thing he is. If I am in that much pain, who's going to know more about that than God? Who's going to help guide me out of that more than God's going to help me guide me out of that? You understand that? That was a very great insight. Once I found out that there actually was a God, that was my thought. Why go to a therapist? Why not just have God be your therapist? Although I'm not saying there are good things in therapy, and I'm not really poo-pooing that idea. Or like I do, I get naked, I lay down on earth. And I talk to Mother Earth as she's my therapist, tell her all my issues and things that I want changed and don't understand how they developed and need to be expelled from my, transmuted out of my body and somatic body and subconscious, so I can step into a love-based consciousness. Ayn Rand, I was very big in Ayn Rand. 17-year-olds read The Fountainhead. Wow. Nice. I was impressed. Ayn Rand had an incredibly intricate, intelligent mind. I mean, everybody knows she had these big eyes that would, striking, penetrating eyes. But at the end, it was a waste of time. We'll get into Ayn Rand one day. It'll be an interesting discussion. But I saw an interview with her, and she made the statement that any civilization that has the idea of God is the made up the reality of God is a civilization in its infancy. That was her statement, and she had no idea that she was the infant in thinking this whole thing could have developed without some sort of divine intelligence guiding it. Okay, she was the infant in thinking that she was going to die, and that was it. She was going to die, and she is gone now, and will exist no longer. She was the infant. She was the infant in thinking that all this could have taken place without some sort of supreme intelligence at the helm of this. And even I saw, as an atheist I was, even I eventually came to the realization that God, there is a God. And it's absolutely ridiculous to think that there isn't, really. But she was the infant in the scenario of her life. She was the infant, really, in thinking that there wasn't any God. Okay, you got that? I can explain that better, by the way, and I will explain it better. But all her intellectualism got her nowhere in the largest terms. And she ended up kind of a screwy person, just like everybody else is a screwy person. Anybody who stays in their egoic mind and doesn't strive to break those chains of this egoic, separative self-mind, they all get screwy by the time they get older. And she did too. Trust me, I know things that I'm not going to say at this point. But shit. Bottom line, in intellectualism, there's no love in intellectualism. There's no love there, and this world needs love now. It doesn't need intellectualism. All Ayn Rand's whole life was a waste of time. She thought that she was going to be the vanguard of a new. Her time would be coming in the future of a new movement of reason. She was reason and work. Basically, it was reason, mind, and work. Work was the one of those glorious things you could do, so on and so forth. To a degree, productive work, yes, is important, but it's second to beingness and spirituality and God realization. One caveat I will say is this: interesting interview on YouTube I saw about Salman Rushdie. And he gave a talk, 19-minute, 20-minute talk on interview, or a talk in front of a group, basically. And it was very well said. We could say that Salman Rushdie is an intellectual, but he was a good, very good talk. I got to say, he had a good role to play, and there's that. I'll have to say, but he's a wise person, wise person. He wrote satanic verses. It made me want to read some of the stuff he's written. But he wrote satanic verses. He recently got attacked by some fanatic, stabbed, I think, because some of the things he said about Islam. But he's an intellectual, and but he has something. Most intellectuals don't have anything. They're sleepwalkers that are coming up with theories that represent no more than sleepwalking. But Salman Rushdie was, there was. I'm going to read probably a book of his. I'll get back to you on that and see what I think about that there. But so we always, no matter what I say, I always take a good look around and make sure I have this right. And I have it largely right, but there always are exceptions. And you get and I've read a couple of good intellectuals, but they weren't leftist intellectuals. They were intellectuals that were above the fray. They had wisdom, they had developed wisdom as human beings, and then their intellectualism flowed from that perspective. I thought Ayn Rand was one of those, but no, it turns out that it was almost all complete waste of time. Her whole philosophical system that was very intricate and very well put together in a lot of ways is going to be in an ash heap of history when we get to the fifth dimension. Okay, it's going to be chalked up as Fountainhead was a great book. Atlas Shrugged, both those were very fine reads, and I think I would even read the Fountainhead again because I loved some of the stuff that was being said. But it's going to end up in the ash heap of history. That intricate, very, very powerful mind she had, but it didn't end up anywhere. Okay, really. And there are a couple of good points she made that we all pay attention to, but is it a complete waste of time? Largely, it was a waste of time, really, her whole life, because it's not going to get us to where we want to go. That's going to be it. So that was just reviewing some of the things I've said, and we'll get on to now to more newer stuff. I've left a little bit out, but I'm happy with this review process, and we're going to, in the future, it's going to be 4 videos, 1 review. 4 videos, 1 review, okay? And I think that's a smart way to handle it, smart things to go on. Maybe 4 or 5 videos, then 1, or if it's 5 videos, it'll be 2 kind of reviews. But I kind of got behind, so we're off and on to better stuff now, and we can all be happier for it, okay? So I hope this is a good video. I am Jeff Africa, citizen of Earth, loyal patriot of the United States of America, and I stand unafraid. And these 4, Paramahansa Yogananda, Jeshua Ben Joseph, Mother Earth, and Divine Mother, these 4 I've chosen to be an example to you, to get me from a mind-oriented, ego-oriented mind state, that separated mind state, into the more expansive heart reality, and live from that heart reality. As I do that, I live these words of tenderheartedness, live authenticity, live genuineness, live sincerity, live forgiveness, live acceptance, live allowance, live non-resistance. You live these things. There just aren't words that we talk about and throw around, okay? You live, the words represent an energy. And any liberated ideal, you begin to you live these energies. You don't just toss around the words in a mental sense. Okay, you start to live these energies, and that's where life is. That's why I say it's the beginning of everything. Okay, because you live. These words become alive and you live them, and that's what it's all about. Okay, it's not about talking about them intellectually or belief system wise. You get it? Okay, that's pretty good. Let's leave it there. I hope I'm not going to keep these short. And now we're on to other things. I think I'm going to. Next one, I'll have a very interesting take on something, and then after that, I'm going to tell you what I know that's going on in the Earth sphere. In the Earth reality right now, okay, what all the dynamics going on right now, and you're not going to believe Some of them, okay? You're going to think I'm a nutball. But I'm going to tell you what they are, okay? Remember what I told you. Anything that comes out of this mouth, it's going to be the truth, okay? In a lot, in the way I have things lined up. And personally, I don't lie about anything. I don't. And even when I was a kid, I didn't understand why people lied. But I wouldn't. I don't say things if I'm not sure about something. I generally won't say it. But most of the things I'm telling, even right now, have a 95% truth rating. Okay, and it's kind of the way of